It was one of those scorching July afternoons in Atlanta, the kind where the Georgia sun beats down so hard you're thankful for any shade or splash of cool water. I just dragged myself home from a morning shift at Mercy General Hospital, where I work as a respiratory therapist. My name's Marcus Thompson, and with a 12-hour night shift looming at 7 p.m., I was desperate for a few hours of sleep. My three kids, Liam, 12, Ava, 10, and little Noah, 8, have been begging all week to jump in our backyard pool. Dad, it's so hot, you promised. Ava had whined at 5 a.m. as I rushed out the door. She wasn't wrong, I had promised, but exhaustion was winning. That's when my brother Caleb, an Army Ranger on a 3-day leave from Fort Moore, called the night before, offering to swing by and watch the kids. Man, you're a lifesaver, I told him, relieved to have someone as steady as Caleb, who'd seen 4 tours in Afghanistan and 1 in Iraq, keep an eye on things. Our home in the Pinecrest neighborhood wasn't the grandest, but it was our pride 3 bedrooms, a colonial weed bought 2 years ago after years of grinding and SAVYing. The pool was the cherry on top, a dream my wife Lauren and I had chased. Pinecrest was mostly white, and while most neighbors were friendly, there were those moment-tight smiles, raised eyebrows when they saw which house was ours, hushed whispers at block parties. Nothing blatant until Linda Carver came along. Linda lived 3 houses down, her yard pristine, her husband a quiet yes-man. She'd reported us to the HOA 6 times. Once when Lauren was in the hospital and our trash can sat out too long, once for Liam's basketball hoop, once for Noah's birthday party that ended at 7 p.m., and so on. Each complaint was a needle, sharp and precise, delivered with a syrupy, "I'm just keeping our standards high." That afternoon, around 1 p.m., I collapsed into bed, the sound of my kids' laughter and splashes drifting through the window. Caleb had arrived, and the pool was in full swing, safely tucked behind a 6-foot wooden fence I'd built myself, complete with a locked safety gate. From my bedroom, I could see Caleb at the patio table, half on his phone, half watching the kids play Marco Polo. I set my alarm for 5 p.m. and passed out, oblivious to the storm brewing. At 2:17 p.m., Linda Carver, power walking in her fuchsia workout gear, paused at our side gate. A tiny gap in the fence one I'd meant to fix gave her a VYEW of my kids splashing under Caleb's watch. To her, it wasn't just kids VYing fun. It was a crime scene. Caleb told me later he first noticed the gate rattling, a hand clawing at the latch. Before he could react, it slammed open, and there was Linda, blonde ponytail tight, sunglasses perched on her head, storming in like she owned the place. "Excuse me," she barked, ignoring Caleb and marching toward the pool. "Where are these kids' parents?" The kids froze, treading water, eyes wide. Caleb, all 6 feet 2 inches of him, stepped between her and the pool. "Ma'am, you're on private property. You need to leave," he said, his voice calm but steel hard from years commanding troops. Linda barely glanced at him, pointing at my kids. "These children are unsuper," VY said, screaming and disrupting the neighborhood. Ava, bold as ever, swam closer. "Uncle Caleb, who's that lady? Why's she mad?" Linda snapped, "Proper children don't yell outside. Didn't your parents teach you manners?" Caleb's eyes narrowed. "Ms. Carver, you're trespassing. These kids are super," VY said, and BHA VYing. "Leave now, or I'll call the police." Linda's face flushed. "Call the police?" "I already did." Caleb blinked, stunned. "On what grounds?" She waved her manicured hands. "Public indecency. They're half-naked, screaming, and you're an unauthorized adult." My kids were in swim trunks and Ava's seahorse patterned one-piece in a fenced backyard. Caleb kept his cool. "They're appropriately dressed on private property under my super VY shown. You're the one harassing us." Linda, undeterred, pulled out her phone, snapping pictures of my kids. "I'm documenting for the HOA and police." Caleb stepped in front of her lens. "You don't have permission to photograph minors. Stop, or I'll add invasion of privacy to the charges." The tension spiked when a siren wailed nearby. Linda smirked, triumphant. "Now we'll see who's right." Caleb ushered the kids to the shallow end, keeping them calm, and led Linda to the front yard as a police cruiser pulled up. Officer Daniel Brooks, a 15-year veteran with graying hair and a no-nonsense VYB, stepped out. Linda pounced. "Officer, thank God. This man's watching unsuper VY said kids causing a disturbance." Brooks raised a hand. "Slow down, ma'am. Names, please." Caleb introduced himself, explaining he was my brother, watching my kids while I slept before my shift. Linda cut in. "I'm Linda Carver, HOA VYC president. These kids are screaming, practically naked in public VYEW, and I've never seen this man before." Brooks took notes, unfazed. "You called about public indecency. Where's this happening?" Linda pointed to the backyard. "In their pool." Brooks tilted his head. "Behind a privacy fence? On private property?" Linda stammered. "Well, yes, but there are noise ordinances, and this man isn't authorized." Caleb offered his military ID, explaining I was inside. Brooks turned to Linda. "How'd you get in the backyard?" She faltered. "I heard the noise and investigated." Brooks's tone sharpened. "So, you entered private property without permission?" Linda doubled down. "As HOA VYC president, I have the right." Caleb calmly added, "Our security camera caught her forcing the gate and taking photos of the kids without consent." Linda paled, unaware we had no such footage of the gate. Brooks's expression hardened when Caleb mentioned the photos. "You photographed minors in swimwear without consent." Linda protested. "For documentation." Brooks sighed. "HOA authority doesn't override trespassing or privacy laws." He followed Caleb to the backyard, Linda trailing, her confidence crumbling. The kids sat on the pool steps, scared. Brooks smiled at them. "Hey, I'm Officer Brooks. You okay?" Liam spoke up. "Yes, sir. We were just swimming. Did we do something wrong?" Brooks shook his head. "You're fine, son. Kids can have fun in their pool." Linda, desperate, insisted. "They were screaming earlier." Brooks shut her down. "Kids playing in a pool during the day isn't a noise violation. Quiet hours are 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. Her frustration boiled over. "So, you letting them get away with this? What about the unauthorized adult?" Brooks, patience thinning, turned to Caleb. "Can we speak to the homeowner?" Caleb woke me, and I stumbled downstairs, groggy, to find Brooks in my leave VYing room, Linda by the door, and my kids on the couch, wrapped in towels, looking shaken. Brooks explained everything, and when I heard about the photos and racial slurs, hood rats, people like us don't belong, my blood boiled. I faced Linda. "You saw black kids enjoying their pool and decided that was a police matter. Explain that." She sputtered. "This isn't about race. It's about standards." Brooks asked if I wanted to press charges. I glanced at my kids, their eyes on me, learning how to handle this. "Not yet," I said, "but I want it recorded that she trespassed and photographed my kids. And delete those photos now." Under Brooks's watch, Linda deleted the images, her hands shaking. I fixed her with a stare. "You're not welcome here. Not as a neighbor, not as HOA anything. Don't come near my property or kids again. Clear." She opened her mouth, but Brooks cut in. "HOA doesn't trump property rights. Respect his wishes, or it's trespassing." As Brooks escorted her out, Noah tugged my shirt. "Dad," he whispered, "that lady called us bad names when Uncle Caleb couldn't hear." My heart sank. "What names, buddy?" He hesitated. "She said we were hood rats and shouldn't be here." Caleb stepped forward, jaw tight. Ava nodded. "She said when she came in. I heard her by the gate." Liam added, "She said Uncle Caleb was some random black man. That's why she called the cops." Linda, ashen, exploded. "That's a lie. They're making it up." I kept my voice low. "My kids don't lie, Ms. Carver. How'd Noah know hood rats if he didn't hear it?" Brooks's eyes narrowed. "Ms. Carver, stop." But Linda lost it, stomping her foot like a child. "Do you know who my husband is? He's a councilman. You'll regret this." Brooks stayed calm. "The law applies to everyone. Leave now." Then, unbelievably, Linda stormed back to the patio, phone out, snapping more pictures. "Improper fencing. Health hazards." Brooks shouted, "Put the phone down." Caleb moved to block her, and in a flash, Linda's heel caught in a deck gap. She flailed, shrieked, and splash, tumbled into the pool. Water sprayed everywhere, soaking us all. She surfaced, gasping, "Help! I can't swim!" in 4 feet of water. Caleb jumped in, trying to guide her to the steps, but she clawed at him, screaming, "Don't touch me." Then, in a VY act, she spat in his face. The air froze. Brooks's voice turned ice cold. "That's assault, Ms. Carver." Caleb, wiping his face, helped her to the steps and backed off. Linda, dripping and mascara-streaked, pointed at him. "He pushed me. Arrest him." Brooks wasn't buying it. "I saw you fall. No one pushed you." I stepped forward. "Officer, I'm pressing charges trespassing, harassment, and assault." Linda gaped. "I'm the VY Tim. I nearly drowned." Brooks radioed for backup. "Dispatch, I need another unit for an arrest." Minutes later, Linda, soaking wet in her ruined outfit, was cuffed and led to a cruiser, yelling about lawsuits as neighbors watched, jaws dropped. Brooks turned to me. "You and your brother need to give statements at the station." With my shift nearing, I pleaded, "I start at 7 o'clock. Can we make this quick?" He nodded. "We'll expedite yours. Your brother may need longer." Caleb clapped my shoulder. "Go to work, Marcus. I've got this." I gather my kids, their faces heavy with questions. "Are you okay?" I asked. Ava whispered, "Did she get arrested because of us?" I knelt down. "No, sweetheart. She made bad choices trespassing, saying hateful things, spitting on Uncle Caleb. That's on her." Liam frowned. "If we weren't loud." I stopped him. "You were kids being kids. Her problem was thinking we don't belong. That's her failure, not ours." Noah's small voice broke me. "Do we have to move?" I hug him tight. "This is our home, buddy. We're staying." That night at the hospital, I could barely focus. The image of Linda's venom, my kid's fear, burned in my mind. Around midnight, Caleb texted. Linda was out on bail, her councilman husband, Robert Carver, pulling strings to no avail. The kids' VY Deo statements were rock solid. Back home, exhausted, I found Caleb researching. "Did you know Linda's been cited for discriminatory HOA enforcement? And Robert's up for re-election soon." He wasn't after revenge, just justice. Over days, we learned Linda had targeted minority families, DRI VYing some out with relentless fines. With help from Caleb's CIVYL rights attorney friend, Michael Lee, we filed a CIVYL suit for harassment and discrimination. The neighborhood buzzed. Some neighbors supported us. Others, loyal to the Carvers, turned cold. Linda spread lies, claiming I'd set her up. Robert cornered me at the community pool, all fake smiles. In misunderstanding, Marcus, Linda's just passionate about standards. I didn't budge. "Your wife trespassed, used racial slurs, and assaulted my brother. What's the misunderstanding?" His mask slipped. "You're making a mistake. I have connections." I held his gaze. "Threatening me? That'll look great in court." He stormed off as Tasha Lewis, our neighbor and a retired judge, watched. "He's losing," she said. Linda's story's falling apart. Then a bombshell. Our doorbell camera had caught Linda's hood rat slur. Her denials collapsed. She resigned as HOA VYC president, and Robert skipped campaign events. Tasha rallied neighbors to reform the HOA, and I joined the board as VYC president alongside a diverse slate. At the August meeting, we swept the elections, rewriting bylaws for fairness and inclusion. Linda's criminal case ended with a plea guilty to trespass and assault, with community SARE VYC and diversity training. The CIVYL suit settled for substantial damages, a public apology, and Robert backing anti-discrimination laws. In October, Linda read a stilted apology at an HOA meeting, Robert by her side, as news cameras rolled. He lost his election in November. The Carvers sold their house and fled. Replaced by a mixed-race family, we welcomed warmly. Pine Crest bloomed new gardens, a multicultural festival, a newsletter celebrating all families. But the real turning point came in April, when Eleanor Harris, an elderly black woman, VY cited. She'd grown up in Pine Crest in the 1960s. Her father a black builder who faced such hostility that they left. She showed me a 1965 photo of black kids in a tub in my backyard, our pool's very spot. "You finished what my father started," she said, asking if her grandkids could swim here. "Anytime," I promised, choking up. As summer returned, my pool rang with Laughter Me kids, their friends, Eleanor's grandkids, all free to belong. What began with hate ended with healing, a community remade. But I wonder, was Linda's punishment enough? Or did she get off too easy? Should we have pushed for a trial to expose her fully? Or was the settlement the smarter move? Could Pinecrest have changed without this drama? Or was her meltdown the spark we needed? Drop your thoughts below. Hit that like button if this story fired you up, and subscribe for more real-life drama. What would you have done in my shoes?